Time to shoot the rock. This is the Rockcastle Gun Show on ESPN 102.7 FM, AM 1450, AM 1230, and streaming live on ESPNKY.com. Your weekly double-barrel dose of the biggest names, best products, and most intriguing topics in the world of firearms. Brought to you by Hilux Optics, Swagger by Pods, Shoot with Confidence, J&K Used Cars on the Bypass, and Mohawk Outdoors. In pursuit of liberty, justice, and all things guns. Here are your hosts, Nick and Nate Noble.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Rockcastle Gun Show on ESPN. Another week, another episode of awesome gun talk, man. The only radio show on ESPN. Of course, we're live. You can live stream us every week at ESPNradio1027.com. You can find us live on 102.7 here in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and on Saturday mornings up at 106.1 in E-Town.
Yeah, and don't forget our iTunes podcast. We have a whole bunch of them out there. We bring the biggest and the best names into the booth and onto your airwaves each and every week. And hey, if you don't mind, just do us a favor and tell some friends about the Rockcastle Gun Show and the podcast and bring it down. And actually, I got some feedback from somebody that I was talking to about the podcast the other day, and we're not doing a good job of putting the subject matter in the front line when you get onto iTunes or Lipsy or wherever you get your podcast. So we're gonna improve that, so you can kind of scroll through there and see some of these brands and the companies and the executives, the professional shooters, American heroes, that kind of thing. So we'll do a better job of keeping that up, so it's easy to go in there and check it out. But download, subscribe, tell a friend. It's a great way to spend an hour of your time when you're on the mower or on a tractor or out there driving the roads.
Yeah, and we do all kinds of topics. We're really a variety show. We've been covering the last few weeks winners of the Industry Choice Awards, the firearms and products that won those categories for the best, rifle of the year, shotgun, handgun, concealed carry handgun, all that. But we've also had guests on, and we talk about topics that are relevant in the world of firearms, whether it be the shooting sports or, just out plinking around or hunting rifles and hunting ammunition, things like that. And tonight we're going to do a little concealed carry spin.
Yeah, it's official. Anyone who legally owns a gun in Kentucky can now carry it around under a coat in a purse, hidden in their holster, with no permit required. We're actually the 15th state to actually pass constitutional carry. House Bill or Senate Bill 150, which was signed into law on March 11th, actually took effect June 27th. So that's a big deal. And, we're going to have a couple folks on here to get some perspectives as it relates to this law, this new law that just went into effect last week. You no longer have to have a concealed carry permit to carry concealed in Kentucky. We're going to have Jeff Jewell, he's a police officer.
The chief of police in
Brownsville, Kentucky. He's going to come on.
He's retired from Fish and Wildlife, Kentucky Fish and Wildlife. So he's been around guns a long time and been around people carrying guns even longer. And I thought his perspective would be pretty neat because, in Fish and Wildlife, everybody he came across had a gun almost.
Right.
And he knew it. And then now as a police officer, most of, Kentucky has a lot of concealed carry people and a lot of people that open carry because we could do that before. And we're just going to get the law enforcement perspective on how this goes down.
And I think that's important as responsible citizens, whether we have a concealed carry permit or not, we can now carry without one. I think it's really important on if you get pulled over or when you get pulled over.
Or if you're at Walmart, you
right.
know? I mean, there's a lot of situations.
A lot of situations. And what does, from a law enforcement perspective, how do they want you, desire you to kind of handle that situation? Because in the past, they could pull you over and they could automatically, once they ran your number, know that you were a concealed carry permit holder. Now they basically have to assume that everybody is concealed carrying and has that. So how do we as citizens approach that? And I think Jeff Jewell, Chief of Police of Brownsville, Kentucky Police Department, is going to give us some good things. And then we're going to have Deborah Williams. She's a concealed carry instructor. She's been on the show before. As this bill was being introduced last spring, she came on and kind of gave us some good perspective as an instructor and some of the things that we probably need to think about as far as continuing education. Yes, we don't need that permit anymore. However, it's still important as responsible gun owners, which 99.999% of the people out there are. There's some things that I think that Deborah can give us some good clues on. So
yeah, and then we're going to spend the first time just talking about us, man, and Rockcastle Shooting Center, because a lot of people come to Rockcastle for over the years. We closed business very early 2010, and where have we gone and where have we come from and what's up next? And a lot of people are out there probably wondering about, where do we go in the future and what we've been doing. And a lot of people probably don't know the things we've accomplished over some time. So we're going to cover that, because the Rockcastle Shooting Center is a pretty unique place in the world. And we have people coming in from all over the world and listening to this podcast from all over the world. And it's important to get some of that information out there.
Absolutely. So we're going to go to a break, and then we'll be right back. Our first segment, we'll talk about Rockcastle Shooting Center, where we've been, where we're going, kind of the what, when, where, how, and why, some of the things that we've accomplished, and then more importantly, what are some of the things that are in the plans for Rockcastle Shooting Center as we move forward. So you're listening to Nick and Nate Noble, your host here at the Rockcastle Gun Show on ESPN Radio 102.7. And up at 106.1 in E-Town, Fort Knox, aired Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget that. And, of course, our folks over in Glasgow, Kentucky, AM 1230. You'll listen to Rockcastle Gun Show on ESPN Radio, and we'll be right back. Hey, it's Nick Noble with the Rockcastle Gun Show here. We're talking about Swagger bipods. Do you want just your average barrel rest, or do you want to shoot with some swagger? Introducing the Swagger bipods. They expand your shooting zone with Swagger, the all-terrain hunting bipod. After more than 100 years, finally shooters have a bipod with patented, flexible, hyper-extending telescoping legs that give you the agility like never before. So get rid of stiff legs and get the bipod with infinite maneuverability. Swagger, the bipod that moves.
This is Nate from Rockcastle Shooting Center. Did you know that one of the premier shooting ranges in the world is right here in South Central Kentucky? Rockcastle Shooting Center has something for everyone's recreational shooting enjoyment. From 3D archery to our brand new sporting clays course, handgun ranges full of steel to targets out to a mile. There's no better place to get some trigger time than Rockcastle Shooting Center. Non-members are welcome, and memberships start at $150 per year. We offer a fantastic range of firearms training and education opportunities from the most basic to the most advanced. Come see us, exit 48 on I-65, Park City, Kentucky. Visit rockcastleshootingcenter.com.
Although hunting to most of us is much more than just harvesting animals, why not better your deer herd's health with Big & J Long Range Attractant? Big & J is highly digestible, high in protein, and isn't full of preservatives. With Big & J Long Range Attractants, you're not only exploiting one of the few weaknesses whitetails have, their stomachs, but you're maximizing antler growth, improving overall herd health, and pulling deer from your neighbor's property. So whether your goals are to fill the freezer, kill mature bucks, or both, Big & J Long Range Attractants will stack the odds in your favor, all the while making your deer herd bigger and healthier.
I used to smoke about a pack to 2 packs a day. That really put a strain on my pocket. That's why I really needed to find something to help me out.
1-800-QUIT now.
I was like, this may work.
I hop in the car, I have a cigarette, wake up in the middle of the night with an asthma attack, hit my inhaler 2 times, come outside and have a cigarette. It was really bad.
Call 1-800-QUIT now.
I've tried everything. I've tried the patches. I've tried quitting cold turkey. I've tried the gum. I just needed a person to talk to, somebody who can relate to me. She was just really supportive, and I was telling her what was going on. She was telling me different things that I could do to help with my stress. I would recommend the Quit line because the support, the counselors, awesome people.
They called just when they said they would. They really wanted to talk you through everything. They wanted to know how I was doing. I'm definitely not coughing as much. I feel healthier.
Call 1-800-QUIT now. A public service of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and this station.
Hey, this is Tommy Thacker, and you're listening to the Rockcastle Gun Show on ESPN.
Hey, welcome back to the Rockcastle Gun Show. It's Nick and Nate Noble, your hosts, the proprietors of the Rockcastle Shooting Center, Park City, Kentucky, exit 48, I-65. Hey, it's July 3rd, Nate, and tomorrow is Independence Day. And
it's the second most important day of the year.
Absolutely.
Besides the shot heard around the world. Tomorrow's when
Tomorrow is, and I'll tell you what, folks, as you're out there on the lake or grilling, barbecuing, doing whatever you're with your families and friends, do that. Just pause one moment at some point and thank the good Lord for the incredible country that we live in, and the men and women that have given the ultimate sacrifice of their lives and the families around those folks. And just as important, all the folks that have served our military, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, and it's a huge thing. July 4th is something that is, we've got all these politics and everything else that's people and Nike's pulling ads because of or shoes because somebody is complaining because it had a Betsy Ross flag on it, and it's crazy out there. And we couldn't sit here and talk about guns on ESPN radio if we didn't have the folks that are out there fighting for our freedoms. And as you're celebrating this week, tomorrow specifically, but going into the weekend, just stop and think and take a moment to thank our servicemen and women.
Yep, absolutely. I want to give a little shout out to one of our sponsors. This is the Swagger Bipods segment of our show. And Swagger, man, shoot with Swagger, shoot with confidence. Crazy adjustment on Swagger bipod legs. They now have the Hunter series in flat dark earth. You got the new Hunter Light, the light adjustment, the Swagger Light bipod, the Stalker. They're really cool. They got all kinds of new adjustments, attachments for hooking up to rails and shotgun. Shotguns. You can now put your Swagger bipods on there. You got to go check out swaggerbipods.com or go to their Facebook page, look at Swagger Bipods, and check out all their cool stuff.
Yeah, they're doing some amazing things, and I'll tell you what, their Big and J mineral supplement that we
crushing it.
We've had the opportunity to hook up with those guys. They sent us a bunch of product. They're going to be out here in September, do a little hunting with us, and competing in the Carnivore Hunter Games, which is Carnivore magazine. It's a just high class hunting magazine, and Swagger guys are going to be out here, so they sent us a bunch of mineral and supplement. We've got them out there. And, man, it's crazy to see some of these pictures of these giant deer at Rockcastle that are coming into this mineral. And they're all in velvet, and they're just early in their growth stage. And, man, there's some monsters.
We put a camera in a new spot, and there's like 7 different bucks hitting one block. 7 different bucks. They found it, and there's some big ones in there.
Yeah, it's
long-range attractants, man.
Yeah, so Big and J and Swagger Bipods, this is this segment. And, we're going to spend a little bit of time. We've gotten a lot of questions recently from folks that are downloading this podcast on iTunes or wherever you're getting your downloads from all over the world. And one of the things that kept coming up is, hey, we'd like to hear a little bit more about Rockcastle. You guys bring on all these great folks, all these great brands, all these great products. You talk a lot about that, but we don't know really necessarily that much about you. We kind of fly over and talk about some of the things, but we're a 2,000 acre shooting sports resort located within 1 day's drive of 63% of the U.S. population, Park City, Kentucky, equidistance between Nashville and Louisville, and right on I-65. If you're coming up on I-65 northbound, you can see our 100 guest room hotel up on a beautiful ridge from the interstate, and it's really a cool place to go. It was a golf resort, 2 18 holes. Golf courses along with the hotel and the restaurant and everything there. And we turned it into a shooting center. And we've done a lot of stuff in the last 9 years, Nate. I mean, competitions and training, education, all kinds of things.
It's really crazy when you look back on where we started. And, before we ever bought the place, we did a little thing with Discovery Channel called Ultimate Weapons. And I caught one of those episodes the other day on the American Hero Channel or whatever they call it, HC Discovery. And it's really cool because immediately we were thrust into the world of firearms. We had 48 different firearms manufacturers cycle through to film that Discovery Channel show. And not long after that, we did our first 3-gun match before we ever owned the property when we were in management control of it and trying to close. And ever since then, it's been like a rocket ship into the coolest people on the planet.
Absolutely.
Literally, the people we get to hang out with, I think more than anything, as you reflect back on the shooting sports and the industry it is just the friends that we've made in the business. And, 10 years ago, our friends were totally different people. 10 years later, we have a group of people, the shooting sports industry, the hunting industry, salt of the earth, people that give you hope for America. And when things are crazy on the news and everything, you can sit back and look at our industry and the people that are in it and, take some solace in the fact that we're all going to be okay because we got a lot of people out there that are fighting a good fight.
Well, and as we go into Independence Day, July 4th, we're all celebrating. I can tell you that those group of people in the firearms industry, the hunting industry, the Second Amendment industry, the military, that everybody's gonna pause tomorrow and thank the good Lord for this great country and everything we do and all the wonderful things we have. There's no bigger group and block of patriotic people than the shooting, hunting, and outdoor trades industry. So, we've hosted over 240, almost 250 shooting competitions. And one of the things there's a lot of great shooting ranges in the United States and the world for that matter, but there's not really any place that's got the infrastructure where you can come in and stay there, you can eat there, you can compete there, you can train there, but across every different discipline. I mean, we're not just a one-trick pony with square shooting bays and maybe a trap and skeet field. We can do a lot of different things there, and hence the 240-plus shooting competitions have crossed almost every genre and discipline of shooting.
Yeah, it's amazing because on a weekend, we can have a USPSA pistol match, a precision rifle series match, people on the sporting clays course, and people on the 3D archery course all at the same time on one piece of property. We can have people staying there to play golf. We can have people coming in to just do the wine tastings. We can have people touring the national park that want to come over and see the Mammoth Cave sinkhole basin. Totally random thing to throw out there because most people won't know what that is. But it's just a place where we do all of that all the time. And, you and I take it for granted. Like you said, people keep telling us, you guys need to tell us more about Rockcastle on the radio show because, you can't go everywhere in the country and shoot a mile and then go across the property and shoot 3D archery and not be in the in the crossfire of the mile-long shot. You can't go out and shoot sporting clays and not be in the way of something. And we have friends that own shooting ranges, some of the best places in the world. I mean, we were just down in Frostproof, Florida. What a great place and venue for 3-gun and USPSA and IDPA and police shooting and all those things. But we can take that to the next level as a place because of the property. It's really the property and what it represents.
Well, and so we've got a little something, Rockcastle Shooting Center, for everyone. So for our local listeners, we're open to the public, so you can come in and use any of these ranges and pay by the hour. We have a fleet of rental guns, ammunition for sale. So maybe you want to take that 700-yard shot or that 1,200-yard shot, and you don't have the right equipment to do that. We can certainly hook you up with the right guns and gear and ammo and even an instructor to do that. We also have memberships. Starting at $150 a year, you can be a member of Rockcastle Shooting Center. You can come in and at your leisure shoot pistol, rifle, shotgun, sporting clays, you name it, and that's all part of the membership process. So for the locals, it's a great place to come up and dust off those guns, and we all need to get better and more proficient. Shooting and being accurate is a perishable skill. So practice makes perfect, and over time you've got a great place to do that. For the regional folks, we're a great place to come in also, spend the night in our hotel, access all the different ranges. We have a huge cadre of amazing firearms instructors coming in, like the tactical rifleman, Carl Erickson, who is, if you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, you should. He's got hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and he's coming in and doing regular classes on everything from carbine to pistol and you name it. We've got people like Andy Marshall, who is one of the 12 strong. He's a retired Green Beret. He was featured in that movie along with his team, the Horse Soldiers, and he does things like active shooter training and just all
active
kinds of
shooter survival,
surviving
a gunfight, and he can really take it down to the basics too, and just teach you how to shoot a pistol, which is one of the things that Green Berets do all over the world. And then we got another guy, Ben Fortin, arguably one of the best long-range instructors, certainly in our area. He's a great guy. He knows what he's doing, retired out of the military, and he loves to teach long-range, and he's very good at it, and he's a hunter. He teaches our long-range shooting classes from the hunting perspective. So if you got a trip planned out west to go shoot a goat, at 1,600 meters, you need to come to take Ben's class. Mm-hmm. If you're going to go shoot a white-tailed deer with a smaller caliber rifle at 500, you need to come take Ben's class. And then the next time you go do those things, that's what we're here for, is to get you to where the next time you go do those things, you're doing it right and you're doing it solid and you're doing it the same way every time.
Yeah. For our national visitors, people that maybe aren't within 5 or 6 hour drive, or
we got a lot of them.
Right. We have a lot of folks. We have long range. Our our long range rifle range goes out to 1,700 yards, and we have members that are members of our club from Chicago, Atlanta, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, St. Louis, you name it. They're from all over, and they come in. But we're also the perfect place for corporate outings, team building things. We do a lot of when sales teams are coming in and doing quarterly reviews, they'll spend half their time doing business, and then the other half of the time they'll get out on the shooting ranges, and we'll have one of our instructors or something, or we'll set up kind of some friendly competitions and test their skills, put them under a little bit of stress and with the timer, and it's a great way to do that. So, and of course we've got our, from a national level as well, all of our major shooting competitions, from 3-gun precision rifle, pistol matches, 3D archery, cowboy action, you name it, we do it. So it's a great place for the national crew to come in as well, just not only to compete, but also do the training education. And then for the international crowd, they're big. We've had 28 foreign countries come into Rockcastle Shooting Center, representing 28 different countries that have come there to compete. They've come there just to gun vacation, literally a vacation with guns. And we're perfect for all you folks out there. We can kind of tailor make a trip to Rockcastle with all your accommodations, your housing and your food, the range time, the guns and the gear, instruction, competition, you name it. And we can tailor that to whatever your likes are, whether it's shotgun sports or long-range precision rifle to 3-gun, you name it. So a little bit of something for everything, and that's really we're blessed with having 2,000 acres, a vast shooting range complex, 100 guest room hotel, a restaurant that overlooks, a beautiful 20-mile views of the Mammoth Cave Sinkhole Basin, a little vineyard and a winery, just a little something for everybody.
And that's not all. When we come back after some of our guests later, we're going to talk about the future of Rockcastle and the things we're doing with the Rockcastle Club. And part of that is how many times has somebody been at Rockcastle and said, I should just get my mail forwarded here? Well, we heard that so many times that we created a solution for that. You can live at Rockcastle Shooting Center, and it's going to be awesome. So 2A, Second Amendment community. Think about it for a minute while we go to this break. But when we come back, we're going to jump into some concealed carry stuff for Kentucky. We're going right on the phone with the Popo, the law, Jeff Jewell, the chief of police of Brownsville Police Department. Talk about the new concealed carry laws in Kentucky. And you're listening to Rockcastle Gun Show, ESPN Radio 1027.com.
This is a Morgan & Morgan consumer message.
A car crash takes seconds to occur. Then what should take a great deal of time and research may only take a day. Sometimes the firm you hire does many things: bankruptcy, immigration, criminal defense. But would you hire a pediatrician to do your heart surgery? Of course not. Our firm is an open book, and our personal injury attorneys only handle one kind of case. Even if you hired the wrong firm, you can still fire them before it's too late. Injured? Dial pound law on your cell. There's only one Morgan & Morgan. Offices, Bowling Green.
You're doing your best to build and grow your business, trying to reach as many prospective customers as possible and get them in your door. Lucky for you, I specialize in helping you do exactly that. I'm Sherry Clark, and for over 25 years, my focus has been helping businesses grow. I leverage the power and reach of radio, the deep connectivity of social media, and the on-demand convenience of online marketing to put you and your business in front of as many people as possible. How do you know my marketing advice works? Just talk to other business owners and managers in Southern Kentucky. For years, I've helped businesses like Studel Financial Services, Super Home Surplus, and United Furniture maximize their marketing dollars. And for as long as I've been helping businesses in Bowling Green, Kentucky Music has trusted me to guide their over-the-air marketing efforts. As your marketing consultant, my focus is on results for you. My advice is based on what's best for your business, not on a monthly quota. Your potential customers have a problem that you can help them solve, but they need to know your name, they need to know your story, and I'm here to help you tell it. I'm Sherry Clark, and I'd love to hear from you at sherryradiosales@gmail.com. Let's get together and tell your story.
Welcome back to the Rockcastle Gun Show. It's Independence Day tomorrow, July 4th, and thank God and God bless America. And thank you to all those American heroes out there, both past and present, our men and women of the armed services, the Marines, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and of course the Coast Guard, and all those folks that have been protecting us.
Space Force.
Yeah,
bro.
Now we got a Space Force, so that's pretty cool. So, hey, it is official. Just last week, the constitutional carry has passed in Kentucky. I believe we're the 15th state to actually offer the ability for any law-abiding citizen over the age of 21 years old to actually conceal carry without a permit. It's the first time that that's happened in this state. We're a very gun-friendly state here in Kentucky because we've had open carry for a long time. We have a great concealed carry deadly weapons program where you could get your license. But, Nate, we don't have to do that anymore. And as of the 27th of June, now any law-abiding citizen can carry a gun concealed.
Yeah, and what does that mean? I've read all kinds of articles. People for it, people against it. We have our opinions on it, and we're happy to give them out. But we thought we'd bring in some experts today, so we're going to start on the law enforcement side of the equation. A guy on the radio with us right now that woke up this morning didn't know he's going to be world famous on the Rockcastle Gun Show on ESPN Radio. Jeff Jewell, what's up, dude?
Hey, what are you doing, brother?
Brother, we're kicking it, man. Getting ready for some 4th of July. I know you're got a little time off. You can grill some hot dogs, do some fishing. What are you doing tomorrow?
That's the plan. This will be the first 4th of July in 25 years that I have been off.
Wow, that's amazing.
Good for you.
Yeah, and Nick was talking about all the so Jeff Jewell here with us is the chief of police in Brownsville, Kentucky. But before that, he was with the Kentucky Fish and Wildlife forever. And before that, if I'm not mistaken, you were in the armed services.
Yes, sir. I was. I actually started back in. 92. I was a MP in the Army. I was stationed in Bremerhaven, Germany, and then finally made my way back to the States and got out of the military, and I started policing in 94, and I've been in police work ever since.
Yeah, long time, man. And Nick was talking about all of the the armed services and stuff, but let's give a shout out tomorrow to the guys behind the digital keyboard and the police car, the guys and gals out there protecting and serving while we're cooking hot dogs and swimming and having a brewski. There's going to be a lot of people like you out there working, and God bless them all for keeping us safe in everything they do.
Thank you. We definitely appreciate it. Now, I can speak for every single one of us that we really do appreciate whenever people do realize and they do take a moment just to thank us for it. It is a lot of times a very thankless job, but when we do get it, we really do appreciate it.
Yes, all the way.
Now, Jeff, you were and it's so good to have you on the show. And we've been friends with you for a long time, about 10 years now. And you were with Kentucky Fish and Wildlife as a game warden, and in that line of work, you were kind of used to almost everybody that you encountered out in the field or on a lake or anything. A vast majority of those folks probably had firearms on them, and you pretty much probably just assumed that they did just because of the line of work you're in. But now as a police officer and a chief of police with this new constitutional carry passing, tell us a little bit about what from a law enforcement perspective that means and how it may change the way you approach your job, or we're just real interested in the take on this new law.
Well, like you said before, Kentucky has always been very good about being an open carry state. So really, like you said, anybody that's a law-abiding citizen, that's of age or that's not a convicted felon can carry a weapon, open carry, and then now they can carry concealed. I would like for the public to understand that, the old-fashioned days of a police officer coming up and just, talking to you and like a small town feel, we have to train differently now. And some of the things that we train for are just like I trained for with Fish and Wildlife. Everybody has a gun. We just automatically assume that every person is going to be armed until we find out that they're not. And you'll do that whenever you talk to that person. So if an officer seems like they're standoffish or they're back, they're in what they call their interview stance, and it's just because that's the way they're trained. It's not that they're not wanting to be personable with you. That they are, but there are some parameters they have to figure out beforehand. And, we're not really going to treat anybody any different that anybody is really even going to notice. It's still going to be the same. We at Brownsville PD, we live by the motto of, we treat people the way we would want to be treated unless they dictate otherwise.
Right. And, policing has changed over the course of the last, certainly decade, but over the last 4 years, it's like a whole different world. I mean, who would have imagined in Brownsville, Kentucky, 3 years ago that officers in the county would now be carrying Narcan for heroin overdose? I mean, it just wasn't a thing. And and what I tried to explain to people that asked me questions about a new constitutional carry, I was like, it's not like every good guy and good girl in the country is now going to be carrying a deadly weapon. They're not just going to flock to just because they can and they couldn't before. Well, they could before. They could go get a license for it and do all those things. It's not like there's going to be a flood of, like everybody's going to have a gun. I mean, gun sales companies would love that, but that's not going to happen. And it's not like the bad guys were probably not carrying. They were probably carrying before. So it's not really going to change too much.
No, things have not really changed. The only real big change that I see that people need to make sure that they are aware of is, yes, you can carry a weapon concealed here without a license. But as soon as you cross that state line and you go into another state, you more than likely have to have a permit to do so.
Right. Which is hugely important for guys like me.
Yes. Just make sure everybody remembers and is careful and goes, oh, hey, just because I can carry here in Kentucky doesn't mean I can carry in Tennessee. And
it also doesn't mean that you can carry in the places you couldn't carry before, like schools and courthouses and, places that are alcoholic beverage places, all the normal rules, and they all still apply,
Exactly. And, if you take the carry concealed class, whether if you get the license or you don't, I still recommend that people do take it because it all it does is it will refresh you and it'll actually teach you a little bit more of some things that you may not know, like any government building. You can't take a firearm in there. The carry concealed class is good. I think this is going to hurt the carry concealed class quite a bit, but it does give a lot of information because there are a lot of laws out there that have been just new laws coming in and being enacted since they've started doing laws. And people just, some of them don't know the old laws and don't know the new laws.
Yeah, and we highly recommend everybody goes and completes a concealed carry deadly weapons course in Kentucky for the fact of the matter that then you can most likely carry that firearm over state lines because you do have a certification, but just some general knowledge that course gives you. And while it may seem boring while you're taking it, I mean, there's a very legal line on when you can use deadly force and when you can't, and that course does a really good job of laying all that out, and it's always just good to know. And Deborah Williams, who's is a concealed carry instructor out of Bowling Green, she's going to be in our next segment. We're going to get deep into that. One of the things I wanted to ask you, Jeff, is when if you pull me over and I have a firearm in the car, what do you want me to do as you approach the car? What's the proper etiquette for an everyday citizen as we start engaging in conversation? What should I do?
Well, what all officers would really like to see happen is, when we approach the car, first and foremost, when we stop you, don't be moving around in the car a whole lot.
Yeah.
If you're thinking, well, I got to get my insurance and I got to get my registration and my driver's license, those are the three things you have to have in order to operate on Kentucky highways. Just wait until the officer comes up and asks for those things. Don't start getting them beforehand, because if you start getting them beforehand, we're going, okay, what's all this movement going on up there? It's going to make us think a little bit more.
Your purse is in the floorboard. It's slid up under the seat, and now you're going under the seat, and this police officer is walking up thinking, okay, they're going under the seat to hide something or get a gun out to shoot me.
Yeah, because, we never know who we're stopping. We don't have any idea. We can't tell. We can't ID anybody by the back of their head. So, we normally do not know who we're stopping. But if I approach the car and once I come up to the car, if your hands are up there at 10 and 2, and you've got your hands on the steering wheel, and I say my greeting to you, how you doing? My name's Chief Jewell with the Brownsville Police Department, and I'll usually explain right then as to the reason why I'm stopping you. And if the person looks at me and says, well, I'm sorry, I do want to let you know, very first thing, I do have a weapon in the vehicle. And if they tell me that, everything just seems to go so much smoother because they're being upfront and honest with me, and that's great. That's a great way to start a conversation.
Yeah, and for Pete's sake, don't grab it and say, I have a gun and pull it out.
Yeah.
I watched some stupid YouTube video yesterday or the day before of some instructor that has become the laughing stock of the firearms industry over the last year or two with the stuff they pushed. But his recommendation was when he was getting pulled over by a cop and he took his gun out and put it up on the dash. Like we need that to happen. You would probably then leave it where it is if they're legally carrying it, right?
Exactly. I just if they legally have that weapon and they've got it in the vehicle, normally what I'll look at them and they'll say, I've got a weapon in my glove box, and I'll go, okay, do you have any information that you're going to be going in the glove box after? And if they say no, I'll say, well, that's perfectly fine. I'll tell you what, you leave yours in there and I'll leave mine on my side and we'll all be good. and I say it kind of lightly because, I want to keep things light. I don't want to. Now, there are times when you have an officer that comes up and there are several violations, and that in doing this, don't be surprised if they do ask to see that weapon and they want to secure that weapon for their safety reason during that traffic stop. If they're dealing with somebody that they know they have dealt with before and this person does have a past that with that officer that has not been a good one, he may say, you know what, let me secure that until this traffic stop's over, and then I will be more than happy to give it back to you. That is an option that they can do. They're not going to be seizing your property for any evidence or anything of that nature. They're holding on to it just to make sure that this stop that they know is probably going to come to an end here shortly, but he may not be really happy with him by the time it's done. But he also knows that person is not going to be sitting in that car building up courage and thinking about, hey, I've got that over there. How about I use it on him?
Hey, I'm digging the rooster, just by the way.
You like the rooster?
Hey, anytime we can get a guy on an interview and there's a rooster crowing, that's cool, man. So it's a whole lot of common sense, isn't it? It's just a whole lot of common sense when you're carrying a gun.
That is the name of the game. That's the name of life. If you just, if you act with common sense, everything's going to be great. It's always going to work out just fine.
Yeah. And, making dumb decisions gets you in trouble. I mean, the old John Wayne quote, life is tough, but it's even tougher when you're stupid. That the common sense factor has got to come into play. And, guns don't scare me. I'm around them all the time, but accidents happen, and you got to, even though you don't have to have a permit, I know even the police department and you guys, you encourage people to go get trained with their guns. I mean, if you're going to carry a gun, it's a real deal, and you guys have to train all the time and qualify and requalify, and you can use yours all the time. People that now can carry them all the time don't have to get that training, and it's the Second Amendment. So I don't, at the Rockcastle Shooting Center, we don't believe that the state of Kentucky should have to mandate that you go get trained with it because it is your Second Amendment right. But we do highly encourage every single person to go get some training.
Yes, exactly. It's the more familiar you are with it, the more respect you have for it, because I tell my officers all the time that the thing basically has two jobs. One is to train with, and the other is to save your life. So, those are basically the two things that we're looking at when it comes to these weapons.
Yeah.
I of course, like you guys said earlier, I was in the military. I went and fought for everybody's right to do the very thing that you just said. And so I am all for it. Second Amendment all the way.
Absolutely.
I would like for people to make sure that they do educate themselves. That's the big part of it.
And it's our responsibility as citizens, if we're going to be carrying a firearm, to educate ourselves. And anybody that thinks otherwise is not quite right. Jeff Jewell is our guest. He's the chief of police for Brownsville. We're talking about the new law that just went into effect June 27th, last week, where now you do not need a concealed carry permit to actually carry a firearm concealed on your person. And Jeff, you guys, the blue line, man, our law enforcement officers have one of the toughest jobs in America as far as I'm concerned. There's just so little, respect out there in certain circles for what you guys are doing, and you're literally putting your life on the line every single day. And we just wanted to thank you very much for everything you're doing, because without you folks, you men and women out there, I can't even imagine the craziness that would be going on, because this is a crazy enough world as it is. So thanks for giving that sacrifice and doing what you do every single day.
Hey, you're welcome. I chose to do it. I do believe it is. I do believe it is some type of a calling, because you're definitely not going to get rich, and like I said, thanks is few and far between. It's hard on family life. You work many hours, so I do appreciate it. And you guys there at Rockcastle, y'all show it all the time, and we do appreciate it. We really do.
Well, we look forward to seeing you up on the hill real soon with the rest of the crew. We look forward to seeing you on the road there in Edmonson County and Brownsville area. And, brother, love having you on. Happy Independence Day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. Thank you, brother. Happy 4th.
You too, bud. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more concealed carry. You're listening to Rockcastle Gun Show on ESPN Radio 102.7.
This is Nate from Rockcastle Shooting Center. Did you know that one of the premier shooting ranges in the world is right here in South Central Kentucky? Rockcastle Shooting Center has something for everyone's recreational shooting enjoyment. From 3D archery to our brand new sporting clays course, handgun ranges full of steel to targets out to a mile. There's no better place to get some trigger time than Rockcastle Shooting Center. Non-members are welcome, and memberships start at $150 per year. We offer a fantastic range of firearms training and education opportunities from the most basic to the most advanced. Come see us, exit 48 on I-65, Park City, Kentucky. Visit rockcastleshootingcenter.com.
Although hunting to most of us is much more than just harvesting animals, why not better your deer herd's health with Big & J long-range attractant? Big & J is highly digestible, high in protein, and isn't full of preservatives. With Big & J long-range attractants, you're not only exploiting one of the few weaknesses whitetails have, their stomachs, but you're maximizing antler growth, improving overall herd health, and pulling deer from your neighbor's property. So whether your goals are to fill the freezer, kill mature bucks, or both, Big & J long-range attractants will stack the odds in your favor, all the while making your deer herd bigger and healthier.
Hey, it's Nick Noble with the Rockcastle Gun Show here. We're talking about Swagger bipods. Do you want just your average barrel rest, or do you want to shoot with some swagger? Introducing the Swagger bipods. They expand your shooting zone with Swagger, the all-terrain hunting bipod. After more than 100 years, finally shooters have a bipod with patented, flexible, hyper-extending telescopic legs that give you the agility like never before. So get rid of stiff legs and get the bipod with infinite maneuverability. Swagger, the bipod that moves.
Mohawk Outdoors is a 501c3 organization. Our mission is to promote the healing of combat veterans suffering from their wounds of war by incorporating the great outdoors. We've personally seen how these efforts can leave a positive impact on veteran lives, so we strive to provide similar opportunities for others who may benefit. The self-inflicted loss of our battle buddies and the current suicide rate of those that served is unacceptable. We need your help to better assist those who have protected this great country. Like us on Facebook or visit mohawkoutdoors.com for more information.
Hey everybody, this is Mark Wills, and we are talking guns right here on ESPN Radio with the Rockcastle Gun Show.
Definitely, like the most patriotic song of all time, I think. Besides, the Battle Hymn of the Republic or the National Anthem, which we all respect and love. But Lee Greenwood, man, kicking it for some Independence Day tomorrow. Welcome back to the Rockcastle Gun Show, where freedom lives. On the Rockcastle Gun Show, we talk about the Second Amendment and all things pertinent to it. guns, gear, and the best people in the business. And today's no different. We got great show talking about Rockcastle Gun Show and everything we got. We had the law enforcement perspective on the new Kentucky concealed carry bill that just went effective last Thursday, and now we got one of the best ladies around that teaches concealed carry, and we're going to talk a little more about it.
Deborah Williams is joining us. She's a concealed carry instructor out of Bowling Green, Kentucky, and Deborah has single-handedly probably trained as many, if not more, than anybody in the state of Kentucky. And Deborah, we've had you on before as this bill was being bannered back and forth between the House and the Senate, and before it came law. And you got some great perspective from you. We had Jeff Jewell, the chief of police for Brownsville Police Department. He came on and kind of gave us perspective from a law enforcement side of you. Now we want to have you on, and welcome back to the Rockcastle Gun Show.
It's good to be with you.
Well, it's a pleasure. Happy 4th of July and Independence Day, and hopefully you and your family got some big plans tomorrow to honor this great country and our men and women of the service.
Always involves hamburgers and stuff,
That's
always
great.
Fun.
That's always good. So last time you were on the show, we were talking about this bill that has now been put into law. So,
right,
we'd love to get your perspective on that. You were very you had some great perspective, and really weren't a big proponent of this law because you believe that, just like I do, that everybody should be educated. So, now that it's passed and it is a law, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, you mentioned the numbers, and I have had over 7,500 students since it became, the concealed carry law became effective in October of 1996, and that has given me a unique perspective because I understand what people don't understand about the serious nature of carrying concealed weapons. And remember, this is not just about firearms. This is about anything that is deemed a concealed weapon in the state of Kentucky, or a deadly weapon, which includes things such as switchblade knives, brass knuckles, death stars, a lot of martial arts things that would have normally been banned under a concealed carry law is without a permit. So this is not just about firearms. So it does give me a unique perspective because I understand what they don't know, having trained so many of them. And I think the training is critical any time you're carrying a weapon of any kind. Because you've got to know two major things, not one but two, and that is safety on how to carry the weapons. But secondly, you have to know when you can use deadly force to protect yourself or others. And in this particular case, it doesn't have, you don't have that unless you go through the training.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things that people don't think about when it's not the, a lot of people know from everything that a gun can kill you, right? I mean,
exactly.
They know that, and that's pretty simple. Mm-hmm. But what they don't know that a class can teach you is the responsibility for your bullet, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you have a 22 rifle or 22 long rifle handgun, you're talking about a safety flight zone of a bullet that goes over a mile. Exactly. And if you miss a target and that bullet goes 3/4 of a mile and hits somebody, it's your responsibility. And people don't think about that. And they don't think about the things they need to, which is why we are huge proponents, even today, of training all the time. And the other things one of the other things I would think, and you can tell us what you believe about it, but just the comfort. I mean, I carry a gun every day. I know you carry a gun every day, and I know my brother carries a gun every day. And the comfort level of getting into a situation, everybody thinks all of a sudden, do you think if you're going to carry a gun that you're going to go into the mall and if somebody starts shooting, you're going to start shooting it out? That's probably not the right approach. And the classes are going to teach you stuff like that.
Right. Well, and what, they don't understand, too, is the fact that this law only covers you in the state of Kentucky. So when you are out of the state, if you don't have a concealed carry permit in the state of Kentucky, you are not reciprocal in the other states, the 38 states, that have concealed carry reciprocity with us. So when you go on vacation, you may well be able to carry in the state of Kentucky that way. But when you go out of state, it's not going to be covered. And so they're going to have to understand that. And I think that's when you're going to start seeing people misunderstand, and that's when you're going to see people think that I need to get my concealed carry for Kentucky because I can't go out of state without it.
Let's give people an example of that while we're talking about it, because everybody in Bowling Green, I think every single person in our county goes to Destin, Florida for fall break. Exactly. And I go to Destin, Florida for fall break. And yes, I have a firearm on the beach in Destin when I'm out there playing with the kids in the surf. Now, because the Kentucky law passed and you can carry concealed here, that doesn't mean you can go to Florida and do the same thing and be legal. Mm-hmm. So you got to pay attention to that. And if you're going to travel with a firearm out of state, the simple fact is you got to go see somebody like Deborah here and get a license for it. Right.
And I think, the next destination place that everybody goes is Gatlinburg. Mm-hmm. It's out of state, So one thing that I'm concerned about, too, and this is a big thing with me, under the concealed carry law for the state of Kentucky, you are required to go through 5 background checks to get that license to carry. 2 of those were to involuntary placements or placements in a mental institution. Okay? So that is no longer the case because most people that is not a prerequisite, that is not checked when you go and buy a firearm. Most people don't realize that. They just check NCIC background or domestic violence. And there are some things in domestic violence issues that don't rise to the level to get you flagged as far as a concealed carry permit or as to buy a gun, but as would be with a concealed carry permit. So you've got people that previously would not have qualified, and I know this for a fact because I've had 2 of them come to me and say I couldn't get my concealed carry permit, but I can buy a gun, so therefore I am now legal to carry concealed in this state. So you have, I think this is going to prove to be a problem. The other thing I'm worried about, too, is the fact that we still have, at this point, the concealed carry licensing program in the state. If we're seeing numbers like we're seeing diminish in the people that are taking the classes, there is a likelihood that they will stop spending the money to do that. And you're talking about a big lick on financial amount that sheriff's departments in the state were getting through that process. I mean, we're talking about, sheriff's departments across the state, $16 million in just their fees. Yeah. On the licensing piece of this. So I'm afraid that the whole licensing thing, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here, I'm just telling you, I think that when something is not used in the state, it's eliminated.
Sure. Yeah. I was talking to a guy from Texas on the way down here to the studio today that was actually supposed to be on the program with us tonight, but he had a prior engagement he didn't remember. Mm-hmm. His wife almost killed him for it, but he works for one of the biggest gun companies on the planet, and they just won concealed carry handgun of the year through the Industry Choice Awards. Mm-hmm. And he moved from Kentucky to Texas, which is a constitutional carry state. And he said, Kentucky needs to look at, and this may be something that you can put into your pipeline and run up the chain, because Texas had the same dilemma, and there's 4.8 million people in Kentucky, and there's almost that many in Austin, or the county of Austin, where Austin is, where he lives now. And so they had a huge dilemma with this. But what they did is they worked with the public, and now you can get a concealed carry permit still. They cut the class to the most crucial information and put it online. And so everybody in the state of Texas can go online and take a concealed carry class until you get to the shooting portion. And their shooting portion was much more involved than ours. They shoot from the 5-yard and the 7-yard and the 15-yard, and it's like a 58, 60 some round qualification. But I thought it was interesting how some of the states like that, like Texas, handled that problem. And they've been doing this for a while. And I thought it was really neat that they made some adjustments within the Texas Department of Public Safety to go back and give you some real options on making sure that people could still have training available and things like that. So that's something you may want to think about.
Yeah, and I would tell you after all the experience I've had in this, I mean, I've been doing it a long time. It's 33 years, really, when you really think about it. I'm concerned because I like to see their eyes, if you know what I mean. When I'm training somebody,
Sure.
I really want to know that they're getting it, because a lot of people come into classes and they think they know everything about guns. And you've got to weed through that before you get them to the point where they understand, I don't know that. I don't know that the old adage of shoot them outside the door and drag them in. How many people have you heard say that over the years?
Right. And I think that's you're bringing up a great point, because you look at, it was made national news. It actually happened at a Sam's Club here in Bowling Green, Kentucky, where a gentleman that had a legal concealed carry permit, I think from Tennessee, was shopping in Sam's, and he gets into an argument with a man and a woman, and they're about to go to fisticuffs or whatever, I don't know. But this guy ends up pulling a gun on this other gentleman who did not have a firearm, and thought he was in the right because he had a concealed carry, but he was not threatened with deadly harm, and he had to do some jail time. And it's things like that, or somebody running away. Maybe they came into your home, but now they're in your yard running away. Those are things that this concealed carry training teaches you when it is proper and legal to use deadly force.
Exactly. And, without the support that we had a few years ago, as far as this is concerned, we would not have had the backing to get what is equivalent to the Florida Castle Bill in the state of Kentucky. Up until that point, people were able to sue you civilly if they came into your house to harm you and you shot them. And then in 2006, we made it pretty hard for somebody to sue you civilly if they were going to come into your home and hurt you. We were making lottery winners out of robbers in this state.
Yeah.
There's just, I think there's going to be some mistakes made. Now, I'm not to tell you that there's not going to be mistakes made when you have a concealed carry permit, but the problem is there's accountability.
Sure.
That you don't have when people just go out here and, carry guns. And it's just a tremendous responsibility, and they need to take it seriously, and they need to know what they're doing.
It is. How can folks contact you to get a concealed carry class going?
They can call me at 270-991-6921, and I'm an instructor trainer for the state. That means that I can train instructors, but at this point, I'm a little hesitant to do that until we get new materials, for one thing.
Sure. Well, Deborah, I hate to cut you off, but I highly suggest everybody in this immediate listening area to contact Deborah Williams and Jim Honecker up at Rockcastle. Get your concealed carry permit. Also, wherever you're listening in the United States and you have concealed carry, do that. Be responsible. God bless America, Deborah. Thank you for coming on the show. We're up against a hard break, and you're listening to the Rockcastle Gun Show here on ESPN Radio, and we'll be back next week on the Rockcastle Gun Show.